glad that you are here with us today. This time is all about creating the space for all of us, including you, our listeners, to have real conversations about what is going on in our world. And I am joined today again by two very special friends, collaborators, and TV hosts, Candace Harper and Sheila Applegate. Hello, ladies.
Hello,
Good
hello.
morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, everyone out there, we want you to comment. We want your questions. Please give us your thoughts during every single broadcast because it's important to us, and I think it's important for us to share our thoughts and feelings with each other. So let us know where you're kind of dialing in from or listening from on social media, and we'll make sure that we let everybody know that. Okay. So why don't we get to our topics for today? And I'm going to go first because this is going to be connected to our giveaway, what we're going to be doing later on. So make sure you pay very special attention to our first topic. We were talking offline. I was introducing the two of you to this. Well, it's new, but it's not as new as like yesterday. But it's a Netflix limited series, and it's called From Scratch. And Sheila, I had told you about it yesterday, and then you started watching it, and you'll love it. And so, Candace, you have to now check it out too.
I know. Oh, no.
Yeah, it stars Zoe Saldana, as everybody knows who Zoe Saldana is, and Eugenio Mastrodia. Zoe plays this character, Amy, an American student who's studying in Italy, who falls, who meets and then falls in love with Lino, a Sicilian chef. I mean, who couldn't fall in love with a Sicilian chef, right? Um, and then like later in the series, they fall in love. They start this beautiful love relationship, and then the series takes them through all these different challenges that they encounter as they're together. I mean, because they're playing basically a young couple. I mean, Amy's character was like 19 or 20 when she was in Italy, so she's like very young. But another part of this is, I should say, another challenge in this was Lino has a very estranged relationship with his father. His father was a farmer. He expected Lino to be there with him and take up the family trade of farming, and Lino wanted to be a chef, and so that started a whole riff between them. And so it's just man, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. It looked interesting when I saw the trailer, and then me and my wife started watching it, and we can't get enough. We hope there's going to be a season 2 of it, because it's just on season 1. So the topic that I was thinking of that kind of pulled at my own heartstrings in my own relationship was this thought of the work of our love relationships. I think sometimes that when we're in love or we're in partnership, that we get into the Cinderella phenomenon. Men too have this, where you meet somebody, you fall in love, and then you walk into the rainbow at the end of the movie, and that's it. And it's okay. Well, we're done.
Happily ever after.
Happily ever after. Where's my happily ever after? And it doesn't come quick, and we're like, what's this going on? What's this challenge, or what's this challenge? So I just wanted to kind of bring that out and see what you guys thought about it.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, as you're talking about the challenge and I did watch 2.5 episodes last night after Brian told me about it. And after the first episode, my thought was, they just did what is a typical movie for their pilot episode, right? They got to that like Cinderella, and they even make a comment about it in it, like, don't go have a Cinderella relationship or something else.
Right.
And the whole like, you know, exchange student in Italy and the romance and coming together. And like that's a movie we've seen many times. And that just started it. And then in the episode 2, we get the next level and it gets to the end of that and it's like, oh, that's the other place they usually end movies.
Right, right,
I like that
exactly.
it's showing the continuation of challenges, but also I don't see the drama that is continuous, and it's sort of like, okay, we faced this challenge and then we faced the next challenge. And I think that's how relationships really are.
Right,
Mm.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
And just really quickly, this movie, and I think one of the reasons why this movie feels so like good and so real is that it was based upon a real story.
Mm.
This I think Timbe Locke is her name, and she wrote this memoir of her life story where she did go to Italy. She did fall in love with an Italian chef, and they went through all these different changes and different challenges with each other. Um, and it's a very powerful, very loving and deep story
Mm.
that was told. So, Candy, what you're our resident love relationship, coach.
Yeah.
I love your approach because you're so tender and you're so compassionate, it's not like getting hit on the head with a hammer. Um, what do you tell? Yeah.
My client might say,
Oh, they say, no, Brian, she hit me upside my head. What do you think about? I mean, what do you tell your clients about, that
Yeah.
phase? Because you come out of the honeymoon phase, and then you start doing the work. What do you
Yeah.
tell them about that part?
Well, I will say, I mean, and I haven't seen the Netflix series yet, although I definitely want to based on both of your recommendations. When it comes to this idea of the work, and I get in many conversations about the work of a relationship, right? So
Hmm.
part of it is that we frame our relationships as work, right? That
Right.
it's the relationship that needs work. And when things go wrong, well, we got to work on our relationship. A lot of times people avoid relationships because of that word work.
Right.
But
Hmm.
what we tend to miss is that our love relationships are just a mirror of the work we need to do with ourselves.
Right.
Ooh.
And so
Yeah.
that's where the work lies. And the work needs to be done whether or not you're in a relationship. But the
Hmm.
beautiful thing about love relationships, if we allow it, is that it's almost like an intensive or a master class
Hmm.
in doing my life's work,
Wow.
right? Like I
Wow.
have an opportunity to heal all my old crap because my love relationship will definitely trigger it. I
Hmm.
have an opportunity to grow myself, learn myself, know myself, and also learn how to be authentic and express myself if I'm willing to allow it, because those are some of the hardest things that we do, and that is the work, and it's all from the inside. We think it's,
Right.
oh, I get with this partner and now I got to put up with their stuff, or now I got to get through their illness, now I got
Hmm.
to get through how they want to raise children compared to me, when all of it is from the inside.
Mm. Mm.
Right. I
Yeah.
think that's
Wha-
perfectly said, Candy.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, the three of us always kind of talk about that this work is from the inside out, right?
Mhm.
And I think sometimes we forget, and it's why I wanted to bring this topic up. I think sometimes we forget that in everything that we do, that never changes.
Yeah.
That never changes, and that we have to create a practice of continual self-awareness,
Mhm.
so that like you were talking about, I know in my own relationship where things pop up and you're like, okay, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Right.
and and we you can the automatic thing is to blame the other person, and
Mm.
we've got to stop. We got to stop and be and like, well, I'm in love with this person. This person would not hurt me,
Yeah.
not intentionally.
Or
And so
even,
what's
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, no,
Not,
no, go for it, go for it.
we do go to blame, but what we're deflecting is, what is going on with me, that whatever
Yeah,
that person is doing is
right,
triggering me in that way,
right,
right?
Right.
right.
That's what
Mhm.
we're avoiding when we go to blame. Let me put it out there,
Yeah.
rather than what is going on with me? What am I telling myself that I am making this mean whatever I'm making it mean?
Exactly,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think that is, like you said, in every relationship that we have. I
Mm,
think we focus so much on the romantic relationship because it has the strictest form in our society.
Mm,
And so we think, oh, we're conforming to these rules of relationship over here, and it
mhm,
should look this way. And it gets I mean, it's also a space where intimacy can develop, but the
mm,
form of it can create that space for intimacy, but it also creates this illusion of how things should be, a distraction from looking at ourselves and putting it in the natural part of our self-discovery.
yeah,
mm.
yeah, definitely.
So, like, I was going to think before we go to our first break, I was thinking of maybe the three of us can kind of give our own thoughts about, what are some of the ways that we can um, create that practice of self awareness so that when we're in these situations with our loved ones, that, you know, sometimes, I mean, sometimes they're not supposed to go smoothly, but
Mhm,
as smoothly as as we can make it through the work part.
yeah.
So I'll go to you, Candy, first.
So one of my favorite practices when triggered or when upset or when feeling like, something is wrong here, is to ask myself, is what I'm thinking true? And by true, is it in reality?
Mm,
Oftentimes we perceive something, especially in communication with a partner. We perceive something. So they said that because they meant this, or they really want me to do this. So now they're acting like that, right? That's all perception. That's all interpretation. And none of it is reliable because it's dependent on whatever we've experienced in the past. So when we feel negative triggered feelings, or you feel that anger, before we do anything, the first thing we got to say is this true? And
mm,
let your mind answer the question. Like, can I, is it movable in reality? Can I feel it, touch it, taste it? If it's not those things, it's not real. It's perception.
right,
And so as soon
right,
as we're willing to realize that our feelings aren't facts, they're valid, but they're not factual, there's room for exploration. Like, I don't have to react based on, my animal brain, my amygdala doesn't have to kick in and make me be crazy.
right, right, right.
Or say or do something that's going to be unworkable in the relationship. Like, just ask myself, is this true? Is what I'm thinking right now, I'm fuming, is it really true? Is it in reality?
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sheila, what about you?
Well, I would just take a next step from that is it helpful? So
Mm,
if I'm wanting to say something or claim what I feel is my truth in that time, even if I've figured it out, or, or my emotion, is it helpful? And is it helpful to say it right now? Would it be better for me to think it over, and say it in a different way? I think sometimes we react, like we said, from the primitive self.
mm,
And if we can stop ourselves for a moment to look at the bigger picture in the moment, and sometimes we can't. So having that agreement with your partner that, hey, you know, sometimes we're going to explode with each other and say things before we think, but we know we're in it together. So we take responsibility as soon as we notice, right? So
mm,
if I do skip over the is it helpful place and say something as soon as I notice I've done it, I would apologize for that part of it. It doesn't take your truth away. It just takes the presentation of it away, right? It
Right,
goes on the
right.
same theme. And along with that, it it kind of to me goes hand in hand. Am I acting from love or from fear?
Mm,
mm, mm.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the step
Yeah.
Candy said, and that isn't helpful, kind of gets us to that because it's hard to know in the moment if you're
Yeah.
really passionate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just so funny because it's like we're coming round robin. And then I would add to that, I think the last piece is that after, when you're ready to talk about whatever it is with the person, that you do mirror invalidation.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and you each do that with each other, that you come from a place not from fear but of love, and that you understand that your partner isn't trying to hurt you and trying, because that fear gets all in there, but you mirror and validate. And there's many ways to do that. But pick a quiet time to have that discussion. Let each person listens. They they repeat back by validating what the other person has said, not what you think they said, but what
Mhm.
they said.
Mhm.
And you check it out, make sure that the other person, like, yes, that's it, and then you move on. And you'll find that you'll come into a lot of different awarenesses with each other by doing everything that Candace and Sheila and I have said to you. So
Mhm.
great first topic. Wow.
Mhm.
Yay. All
Uh-huh.
right, so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll go to our next topic with Candace. You want to go next?
I can. It's mine's a little bit of a veer left, but
Maybe we'll go to Sheila, because I think Sheila was. I think
maybe
Sheila's
she'll,
the
yeah, because I think she'll, you have a relationship topic too, right?
Yeah, I had a relationship topic today, so
Yeah.
we can veer
perfect.
after that.
So
Yeah.
we'll go to Sheila after the break. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime. And welcome back to This Morning with Soulivity. It's a bright Tuesday here in the nation's capital, and I'm joined by two lovely ladies, Candace Harper and Sheila Applegate. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Hey.
um, why don't we move on to our next topic? And Sheila, you had something that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, and it's kind of on the other end of relationship, I guess, but I have been seeing on social media, it's trending, I think partly by ad, but then I heard it in a podcast too, and I'm like, wow, this is really this is really happening here.
Mhm.
So there's a talk about this psychic, and I don't know who the psychic is, or if there even is a psychic, but that is supposedly you go to and they draw your soulmate. And so you can then go know who your soulmate is from this drawing. And it was like, huh, okay. Because so my question was, do you believe in soulmates and what does it mean to you? Because a lot of my
Mm,
work is about soul. Well, my work is about soul connection. And so soulmate plays
mm,
a powerful role in it, but it's not the way the mainstream thinks of it for me. First of all, I do spiritual readings, and whenever there's a question about a partnership coming or a relationship or a person coming, even if I'm shown details of maybe physical details or attributes of that person, I'm always very clear. Like, it doesn't, even though they're showing this attribute, that's not what's going to make you recognize them. Don't go looking for a person with black hair or whatever it is. It's the essence and it's the characteristics that they've just told me about. Like, this is the way you're going to feel with that person.
Right.
And even if you do connect with that person, that doesn't mean that that's supposed to be a relationship for life. Like, so
Mhm,
anyway,
mhm.
there's my little blurb. And what do you guys think about soulmates and or such a simplistic trend, I guess?
You wanna go first, Candy?
Yeah, because it's funny with soulmates. I feel like soulmates are an evolution. Like somehow we've bought into this idea that a soulmate is someone that you would recognize on sight.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I don't think that that's the case. And I think that speaks to what you're saying about, okay, so if I have a drawing of my supposed soulmate, like I guess in some way it could be a talisman for manifestation if I consider it that way. But, like you were saying, I would have to detach from, that they have to have those exact features, but then also maybe just use them like a vision board, use it like a vision.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But I feel like we sort of are confused if we're thinking that a soulmate is like in a rom-com where you see them and you're like, that's the one. Like I feel like
Da, da, da,
right.
da.
I feel like it's an evolution. I feel like when they talk to those couples who've been married, 65, 70 years on the news, it's like we've evolved into soulmate status because our
Right,
souls have
right.
mated in this time that we have grown together. That's my take on it. And I don't feel like that's the only singular way to look at it, but that's the way that I frame it.
Mhm.
Sheila, as you were talking about this, um, the thought came into my mind that your soulmate, well, a couple of dimensions of soulmate. So one is, yes, right? There is this soulmate that's out there that you're preparing yourself for, and you meet that person, and at some point you meet them, and then you spend the majority of your life with, or significant part of your life with. So that's one aspect, right? The other aspect that I thought that was like important is that maybe it's, as you grow, you have several soulmates. And
Mm,
from whatever point in time that is, where you're meeting different people and they're helping you to grow, that's your soulmate for that time.
Right.
You know
mm,
what I mean? And
Mhm.
that, you know, that person is in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think that's what I think. So,
mm.
what do you think?
I have all of those things. I think they all and more. Um, to me, I one definition that I use for soulmate, and some people might call that soul family, is like a mate on this destiny, the ship, a soul mate. Like we're
Mhm,
traveling on a ship, and it's a mate. And so, anyone who comes into your life, it could be a moment in the grocery store where a significant thing happens and it's not romantic related or anything, or it
mm,
could be a long-term thing. And that also fits with, a soul that you both spoke of where you're traveling more deeply with each other
mm,
and on a on a journey, and it sort of develops. But I do, working from the soul energy and a lot in the spirit world, I also recognize that there are deep soul connections that we recognize, and they may or may not be romantic.
mm,
In fact, I was just on a call yesterday with someone from Norway who interviewed me on a show a few weeks ago, and there was such synergy. Like we just both knew that we were soul sisters, she said. Like we're just there's a connection. Like we were so much alike and having never met before and in synergy. So there's also that sort of vibrational match I think I talk of, which is like your
Wow.
bandwidth. You connect with people at a certain vibration that you're in.
mm,
Um And then I also have had the experience of people also talk about twin flame, which is something I work with people from around the world with. But a lot of the stuff out there is also romanticized and not the, like the
Mhm.
worst of what they say about soulmate gets put onto twin flame and that gets confused.
Mhm.
But I've had multiple people in those situations that have been very deep soul connections for me, that whether the relationship was defined and how that would come out, the instant, like, whoa, we know each other, there's this intense connection, has happened to me a few times and developed into significant relationships. So um
Wow.
Mhm.
This was a good topic. Yeah, because
thanks.
I do think about it. I do think about, the people who have come into my life over time and the effect that those relationships have had on me. And I can't help but be grateful for
Mhm.
those specific relationships because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah.
And so, those connections, I mean, where we're drawn to each other, um, again, for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, um, is important, and that we should be recognizing that as we grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, listen, another great topic. Um, why don't we take another quick break, and then we're going to take a left turn.
Yes.
Yay.
I mean, not that far left, but kind of
Not
kind of left from
kind of
home.
little dog ear left, a little,
Yeah.
just a little slight turn.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, and we'll be right back in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So, tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
And good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Brian Wesley Johnson, and this is This Morning with Soulivity. I am joined by Candace and Sheila for our last half hour of the show. Welcome, ladies. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we've been talking a lot about love and soulmates and relationships, and but I think that Candace, you have something that you're going to talk about that's like a little bit of a little turn, but still good.
Still good, but definitely a little bit of a turn. And because I think, how can I tie it in? So you were talking about that Netflix movie, and the guy was a chef.
Right.
I'm all about food this week.
Mm. Hmm.
And so, in my consistent evolution of how I eat, my relationship with food, and what that is to look like, and now post pandemic, and how we shop, and whatever. I feel like food is just such a big thing in the US, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And one thing that I am often present to is, now there's like these food shortages. And, when they talk about, I know like a couple years ago, there was an issue with avocados. Right now, there's something going on with eggs. I ran
Mhm.
across this article at shefinds.com where there, and here's what I hate. Okay, I'm going to try not to be all over the place.
No, go
This,
for it.
the scarcity lack mentality that comes up around food,
Right.
Mm.
Right.
and
Right.
how it's often reported to us in a way that I think triggers fear and concern and survival
Mhm.
responses. And so I feel like it's really important that we're able to have conversations as just the regular people en masse who are the consumers for how we can mitigate and take care of each other in times when there's scare tactics going on. Right?
Mhm.
And that's not to say that
Mm.
it's not valid, that they aren't valid. I'm not necessarily a conspiracy theorist, although you never know. But when
Mhm.
there's scare tactics going on, I think it's very important that as consumers, we be in a conversation of creating abundance and alternatives and what else is possible and where we can look for opportunities to not just survive but continue to thrive, because I look back at the beginning of the pandemic and that toilet paper craze.
Right.
Oh my gosh, right?
Right, and it just was so insane, and it just it speaks to American culture in a way
Right,
that it's just
right.
not workable. So, like I said, I ran across this article and they listed 8 foods you may not be able to buy in the grocery store in 2023. And I
Oh my
hate this part of the
gosh.
title. They put stock up before they're gone.
Oh, well, see.
And then you won't be able to.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so, they listed some things like bread, sunflower oil, champagne, beers and canned and pet food, and lettuce and corn, oranges and beef. So while all of those things, they may be favorites and different kinds of sustenance for different types of people, I thought it would be good to have a conversation about substitutions and mindset when it comes
Mm.
to, moving in and out of being able to have certain things available to you.
Wow.
Right? My one thing is like I said a couple years ago with that avocado shortage, I'm an avocado fiend. I eat them every day. So this whole conversation started with me with, when there was a shortage and I couldn't find, the avocados that I wanted, I had to do some mindset nurturing. I had to do some substitutions and do some alternatives until I could find them again. So I guess the idea is to have a conversation that invites, what are some alternatives, what are some other things that I can do, and how can I still take care of myself, my family, and others around me without going into scarcity.
Mm, mm. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's something that I think we don't really even talk about at
right,
all. I think like that story. I mean, I from a couple of different angles, it immediately invokes fear,
yeah.
right? Oh,
Right off the bat, the title, you don't have to read the article.
right.
Right. Just go buy everything, right?
Right.
I mean, they might as well just say you're gonna starve if you don't get this stuff, right?
Exactly, exactly.
You know, I'll say this, and then I'll go to you, Sheila. I love the fact that I was raised in a family where variety was the spice of life,
Mm,
and that we were never ever truly dependent upon one specific, in this case, one specific food or beverage or drink. I mean, I grew up in
Mhm.
Michigan where we had the big PCP scare, right?
mm,
For milk. I don't know if
mm.
you guys remember that.
No.
But there in Michigan, in the dairy, there was a time at which this, I guess it was like fertilizer or some chemical got mixed up in the feed,
Mm,
and the cows were eating it and they were producing milk that had that chemical in it, and it was bad for you. And
mm,
so for many, 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 many years, when I was young, we didn't have dairy at all. No cheese. I mean, we might have had some cheese, but we didn't have any dairy. We switched to like goat milk, and other alternatives during that time. And what was funny was, the first couple of times that you're having like cereal or something like that, you're like, oh my God, this is so different, right? And you're like, ah.
mm. Yeah.
But then over time, I all I remember now is, oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
fine. It
Yeah.
was fine. You know, you just grew into um living your life from that space and that food.
Yeah.
My mother was also at that time a partial vegetarian. She only ate like some chicken, but like fish. And so
Mm.
we all had to cook. And so growing up, we had meat basically with every meal, right?
Mm.
And so we
Mm.
had to change
Yeah.
into eating like vegetarian options that where there was no meat in the meal, or very little. And so I think it's just, people embracing, letting go, becoming aware that there's some fear
Mhm.
about the commonplace, but then embracing this beautiful abundance of other options that are out there, and just enjoy that part of the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. So the first thing that I keep thinking of is we don't have a food problem, we have a distribution problem.
Mm.
And we have
Yes.
enough food in this world to feed everyone, and yet we have so many people who are starving. And,
Mhm.
we're
Yes.
talking,
Yes.
and consciously, we're talking about, are we gonna get our eggs or this, or do we just change, can we get our avocados, when
Yeah.
there's so many people that are just trying to get food for their kid to live, right? So,
Right.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's just insane that we live in this world and that it keeps getting amplified by this messaging. And
Yeah.
so, um, I start there just because I think that we all need to start there. We need to wake up and remember that, and that can kind of put things in perspective. Um, And also, it was brought up yesterday, but the next generation has got us, I just keep
Yeah.
thinking of the next generation, um, because they get what we have to do. And so my
Right.
children,
Right.
if I get off track, my children who are young adults will get me back on track. My daughter, um, creates food for the unhoused every month. She has a month where she has to do like 50 meals or something. And but
Wow.
it's also in LA where they come and pick it up. I'm like, well, I wish somebody would come and pick. I would be happy to make meals. I don't know where to take them,
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
and they distribute it. So, things that we can do to think on that level, I
Yeah.
think is important. For me, I focus on local whenever possible, and
Mhm.
seasonal. And
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I try to adjust my diet to some degree. I'm not saying I have frozen soy food and things like that, like, I'm not saying that I'm always doing that, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's one thing I do. I think that if we can eat local, if we're, I'm in a lush area with lots of farms, so, food is accessible in the seasons, but we did have a dry season this summer, and so corn was lax here in the
Mhm.
summer. My,
Mhm.
brother-in-law is a farmer, so I knew that we didn't get corn this year, so that's gonna affect things. I don't think that that's the global issue, but, yeah, so focusing on that, and then the mentality that you guys were talking about, like, do we really need we have things we like, but do we
Mm.
really need them?
Yeah.
And, I went through a lot of years with health issues where I couldn't eat most things.
Yeah.
Like, what was affecting me was so many things that I found this shake that has all the nutrition in it that I liked. And so, that seems to never go up in price or vary. So I'm like, if I have, when there's a snowstorm, when there's anything, if I have that shake and I have water, the powder and water, I know I'm getting my nutrition, and then the rest of the food is fine. Like what I
Mhm.
can eat is for the pleasure of eating.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I can eat things more now. And so that's not what I rely on as much. But I think there's alternatives to like think about what's our mental attachment to food and
Mhm.
what's
Yes.
our
Mhm.
dietary attachment to food.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you said that, Sheila, and I also love that you said the part about, putting it in perspective, right? So that there are so many out there that just having food in general is there's a food instability. So yes, with the attachment, like our mental attachment to food, I think is what, you know, we in American culture, we have mental attachment, emotional attachment to a lot of things that our bodies absolutely do not need.
Right.
Right? And when it comes to
Right.
things like our favorite foods or, things that we're used to being able to get, one thing for that to become a bone of contention or something that we hoard or that we're willing to fight people for, we want to just be really present and aware that some of the things that we eat, specifically the things that are more nutritious, that there are alternatives,
Right.
right? So one of the
Right.
things on the list was like lettuce. So there's spinach, and if there's not
Mhm.
spinach, there's kale. Like we have to
Right.
be willing to shift and flow with what will provide what we need in our bodies first and foremost. And I love what you said about having the shake. I went through a similar thing where there was a lot of things that I couldn't eat, but our understanding of there's just a basic nutritional level that we need to reach.
Right.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
if we keep that in mind, and when all these food shortages and things come up, and make that the priority over, I gotta have my favorite, bagel bites, or I gotta have my, and now, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it helps to mitigate this sort of scarcity that we go into. Like, now I can't have the one thing that I want. And when we go down that road, that's the avenue towards just a survival mentality. That's when we become animalistic and
Right.
selfish and hoarding.
Right.
You know.
I love this thought about um, seasonal eating,
Yeah, I love that too.
and regional eating, right? So, when we're in Europe, for example, and we're in Italy at a certain time, and we love like gosh, I'm losing it now. They crisp up this plant. I'm trying to remember, artichokes.
Yeah, I
Artichokes.
love
So
Mhm.
they'll fry the artichoke head, and then the leaves you can eat like chips,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but they're only in season at a certain time. And if you go there when they're not in season, they say, "Hey, they're not in season, so you don't have it. So you have to eat something else."
Yeah,
Right.
Right. And
yeah,
that's part of the culture. And so I
yeah,
think in America specifically, we've gotten to this place where anything that we want is available at any time, even if it's not in season, right? They make it in season, they'll ship it.
yeah,
And that's the
Mhm.
norm, right? If we want strawberries in the middle of December, we can go get strawberries in the middle of December, you
yeah.
know. There was a time when I was growing up when that was not the case. It
And they're
was
not
not
even
in
that good.
season.
They're not
No, they're
even
not
that
even
good
that
out of
good. No.
They're not
season.
good out of season, right?
No, they're not. They're not
Yeah,
that good. They're not that good. And so um I love this conversation because I think just starting with creating alternatives to things that you like all the time can open you up to other experiences. Like, so what else would I like to experience in life,
yeah,
that's not quite the norm,
yeah,
is it some type of exercise, is it some type of spiritual practice, is it journaling, is it doing a vision board? I mean, I think that just starts a trend that's healthy all the way around. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
so
know,
I
I saw
yeah.
the article in Soulivity about thrift shopping,
Oh,
thrifting.
yeah, yeah, mhm.
And I was thinking about having that as a topic today, but like to me, that kind of goes right along the same mentality, that same line. Like, how do we change our thoughts to consume differently?
Yeah. To have a
That's
flow.
another cool thing. I love thrift shopping, or
Yeah.
I used to like thrift shopping,
Yeah.
you know?
That's another thing my kids got me. Like they are thrifters. And I'm going to see the kids in next week, and that's one of our days is going thrifting. And
Oh,
it would buying Christmas gifts now. It's like I get bonus points if I bought it at a thrift store for them. Like,
that's
What?
because
awesome.
we're talking because
Wow.
the industry of clothing is not good on our world, with
Yeah.
this throwaway clothing that is happening right now and the sweatshops and all of those things. So
Right. Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
It's
Right.
it's consciousness that's changing our way.
And
Wow.
and what it points to is sustainable economic flow, right? Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
we get so caught up in, oh, it's a recession and things like that. It's like, well, we still have plenty.
Absolutely we do.
And it's just that
Absolutely.
willingness to not have to have everything be at excess. And there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things and liking certain things, but things like thrifting, things like investing in locally grown food. And if you have the means and the possibility to grow something yourself, like our willingness to flow with other things that are possible rather than having to have excess is part of what takes care of us all.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just love this conversation specifically on lack and limitation, right? I think we can kind of maybe we'll close out on that because I think sometimes that we're fed so much, excuse my French, BS about that there's not enough when if you just do take 10 seconds on Google, you'll find out there's more than enough by multiples for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, and that the fear that you may feel around you not having something is really in your head.
Mm.
It really, 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 really
Yeah.
is. It really
Mhm.
is. So why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll do our giveaway as well.
Sounds
Woohoo.
good.
All right. Be right back in 60 seconds, y'all.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
All right. Yes, you can watch Teresa Greco on Thursdays at noon. And don't forget to watch Sheila on Wednesdays. That's tomorrow at 12 noon, right here on soulivity.com and Soulivity TV.
She
Um,
used to have me
yeah.
inspired. I need to do a commercial.
Hey, you do need to do a commercial. Come on now. Come on now.
I feel like I need to upgrade my commercial.
I love your commercial.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think tomorrow's show for you, Sheila, is on beliefs.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good show. I love that one. I really love that one. So Candace, get on it. Get your commercial.
Right.
We were talking about like we began this conversation. We're talking about food and alternatives, and when when people are telling you that stuff is not going to be available, and creating this variety of life kind of thought process, and that kind of led us to what I was thinking about, like lack and limitation, just generally speaking, right?
Mm.
Um, I mean, for the last how long, year and a half, people have been telling us, oh, well, there's going to be a recession. There's going to be a recession. There's going to be a recession. And it's not here.
Mm.
And I think when there's enough people that are in fear, I think that's when the recession will start, if
Yeah.
it starts at all. So just want to get your thoughts about that while we have some time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're absolutely right. The monster eats itself, right? Like we are our own worst enemy. When enough people have a certain consciousness, that's when the problem starts.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
believe that.
100% on board with that. And the more, and I think Sheila said it earlier about love over fear, like the more that we can be aware that fear is what we're choosing and adjust it to love, the more that we can mitigate all of these
Mhm.
things that they're constantly warning us are going to happen. And I'm not, I don't want to invalidate, because bad things do happen in the world. There's no doubt about it. But we have, as a people, have to take responsibility for our consciousness, and how when we consciously believe something as a whole, we make it true.
Right.
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 Yeah, there's so
Right.
many layers to that, Candace,
Right.
because we do know. I mean, there's been enough experiments that our consciousness, especially our collective consciousness, will actually create. But then there's the behind the scenes of the manipulation that we have to
Mm,
wake up to, because the clickbait and the, you know, capitalistic society that wants, I mean, I keep thinking about how in school we learned economics, right? The
Mhm,
supply
mhm.
and demand,
yeah.
and to control the supply. Like, we were just taught that in regular school, public school, that
Right.
that's what's happening to create this capitalistic manipulation that invokes our fear. So when we remember that we're being manipulated,
Yeah.
we remember that there are people, or there are
Right.
organizations or corporations that are benefiting from our fear.
Right.
Maybe we are more empowered to choose love and explore that possibility, because this one doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sheila, I was thinking about what you just said around we're being manipulated. Everyone, listen, we are being manipulated. Some of it's for positive things, some of it's for negative things, but I was in business development and still in business development for a long, 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 long time. And ads that you see, newscasts that you see that are backed by certain people are all designed to get you to behave a certain way, typically toward a product or to anything else. And so going within and getting clear on yourself is a very important thing to do,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so that you don't get caught up, right, in the frenzy, I would say, right,
Yeah.
of what people are telling you online and getting you scared about. I mean, I still remember that first time going into the grocery store when COVID happened, and it was like I thought that a hurricane was about to hit DC.
Right.
Right.
Everything was gone, and how long did it take for things to get back to normal? I mean, it was not even a couple of months later, everything was there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything was available.
Yeah.
And so, I do think it's that energy. It's an energy thing.
Mm.
Any last thoughts about this, ladies?
No, I think for me, I feel like I've said it. And I'm with you. I'm absolutely with both of you about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can just
Dude.
say, like, follow love, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, being an entrepreneur or being in the marketing side of it. And as an entrepreneur, through all these years, I've just refused to advertise or market through fear. And it's
Mm.
not, it's not what people expect. It's harder to get people's attention, but we
Mhm.
Right.
can start looking at the ads and see what they're doing and choose the ones that aren't trying to use fear.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's turn the tables here and move to something into love, where we've got our giveaway question.
Yay.
Dun, 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 dun. So, to all the listeners, hopefully you were listening to us at the top of the show where we were talking about our first topic, and we're going to give away another Amazon gift card today. And all you need to do is answer this question and send us the question. Send us the answer to soulivity@soulivity.com, our email. And that giveaway question is, what was the name of the movie we talked about at the top of the show? Now, I'll give you a little hint. There's some of it in the chat, and that's the hint.
That's a
So
big hint, but
it's a big hint. Hey, I love giveaways. I want
I
somebody
know
to
you want so,
win. I
and
want
getting
somebody
over
to
in the chat's
win.
a good thing. Come,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, and so you want to send your answer, and I'm going to put it in the chat here so that people can, uh, they won't have to go hunting for it. Um, you want to send it to soulivity@soulivity.com, and the first person that gets that answer right will win an Amazon gift card. In fact, I might even give away two today. So if
Nice.
the first two people who get that answer right will get a $25 gift card from
Can I give a
Soulivity
little?
yeah, you
Can
can
I
give a little
give
hint.
a little clue?
Yeah, you can give a little clue. You can give another little clue.
Food.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Well, listen, while we're wrapping this down, while we always want to let people know about what our collaborators are doing on and off the platform. And I'll go to you, Sheila, first for anything that you're doing right now that is supportive to our community and helping them grow.
Well, I think being a host on this is pretty supportive to the community.
Uh
But on the side, I also offer soul connection sessions, and this is a one-on-one session that will help you connect to your soul consciousness. It can be perceived as a reading, a spiritual reading, which is what I called it for many years, but it also includes conversation. And if you want, it can also include a conscious meditation, which is a technique I developed that allows me to guide you as I see, and it's your personal journey in a meditation. And we even communicate during it to help you see more. And it's quite an adventure. But whatever I do, it's to help you connect to your higher consciousness and to communicate with the non-physical, because I think that is just natural to us and we all benefit from it. I do have a discount for Soulivity listeners,
woo woo.
and Brian has just put that in the post for you. That's a calendar you can go directly to receive the discount.
Wow, thank you. That's beautiful. I like it. I like it. Candy, what about you?
So I have a couple things going on. I have my love life skills for leaders because I help BIPOC plus professional women create a love life that loves us back. And I do that with a 12-week intensive curriculum. And it involves healing the past, loving yourself unconditionally, starting all over from a clean slate. And it's highly transformational. And then I also help I say women in general, but I use that term and hopefully in a non-binary way, and also um, that there is a level of inclusivity to it. But I think that women in general, we have a relationship with money that can sometimes affect our love relationships, our family relationships, our relationships with ourselves. And so I do a hypnotherapy weekly class called Healthy Wealthy Flow Hypnosis, and it's around becoming an
Mm,
energetic space for financial abundance.
wow. And I've got the link up on chat and up our screen. They can find out more about that from your website at CandiceHarperLoveCoach.com,
Yes.
correct?
Well, they can find out more about love life skills for leaders and working with me around relationships. But when it
Hmm.
comes to the money, I didn't get a chance to type in that link, but it's bit.ly Healthy Wealthy Flow is the link to learn more about if you want to become a an energetic space for financial abundance. Bit.ly Healthy Wealthy Flow. And also
Hmm.
not for the Healthy Wealthy Flow, but for working with me around relationships, there's the Soulivity 50 promo.
Oh, that's
So
right.
right? If you reach out to me, Candace at CandaceHarperLoveCoach.com, and do a consultation is complimentary. But if we decide to work together as far as your relationship, whether you work with me one-on-one or join my club membership, it's 50% off if you're a Soulivity listener,
Wow.
right? So Soulivity
Wow.
is that promo.
So everybody, make sure that when you contact Candace, that you mention that you found out about her from soulivity.com, and you'll get that discount.
Yep.
Woo! Well, this was a fantastic show, y'all. I appreciate you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you both. This has been
Oh,
I
wonderful.
appreciate
Been
you.
wonderful. Wow.
right?
Listen, everybody. Listen, we want to know from you how we're doing. So if when you're answering that giveaway question, please feel free to send us, an email along with that, or go to our Google site and give us a review. Let us know what you think about what we're doing here with our programming. We want to hear from you because we always want to improve our programming and give to you what you need to have a best life today. So, listen, on behalf of Candace Harper and Sheila Applegate, I want to say thank you for joining us for our Tuesday episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or you can listen to the replay at 11 a.m. Eastern for all of you on the West Coast. So, until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create a life full of high quality living today. See you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.